Good afternoon, everyone. Would like to call the meeting to order. As a reminder, please note that board meetings are being recorded for the convenience of those unable to attend. The recording and closed captioning will be posted to the BERS YouTube channel following the meeting. Alex, could you please call roll?
Russell Buckley,
Present.
Janelle Chacon, Isaac Carmignani, April Chapman, Deborah Dillingham, Natalie Green Giles.
Present.
Thank you. Eric Henry.
Present.
Thank you. Michael Kraft.
Present.
Thank you. Vanessa Leong. Gary Lennon.
Present.
Thank you. John Maderick.
Present.
We have, yeah, thank you. Donald Nesbitt.
Present.
Kathy Park Price. Lori Podvesker. Thomas Shepard.
Present.
Jacqueline Tacarante.
Present.
Okay, that's quorum.
Thank you, Alex. First order of business is calendar item number 1, noting the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Retirement held on October 28th, 2021. These minutes have been previously provided to the board via email, posted to the SharePoint site. May I have a motion to consider the minutes from the October 28th board meeting? Please raise your hand, state your name.
Jacqueline Tacarante.
Thank you, Jacqueline. May I have a second?
Second, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor of approving the minutes for the October 28th, 2021 board meeting, please indicate your approval. Aye. Russ.
Aye.
Aye, Janelle. Aye, Jacqueline.
Aye, Tom. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the executive director's update. Sandy? Any comments?
Yeah, I'll try to keep them brief. Our current prospective open headcount is down to 18 from 22 that I reported last month. We've had 3 significant hires in communications, a number of advancements in operations from temp status, added 1 person in accounting. We've got ARBE pending offers for 3 individuals from the ARB hiring pool. I was just notified about 10 minutes ago. We made 2 additional offers today. We will be interviewing the Deputy Director of Investment Strategy. We're having some difficulty in hiring a Deputy Director of IT for cybersecurity. We've had to relist that job again. And in member communications, we're having new JDs for the team sent to classification for review. Medical board, we will be meeting with TRS to establish a temporary support mechanism using their medical staff and examination facilities, and those meetings will be happening next week. Recall that DOE no longer supports our disability medical board process, and we're having to replace that regime. Long term, we expect to replace that with contracts with medical staff, potentially from the TRS medical board and our own internal facility. And we're hoping TRS can help us in the interim until we get that stood up. Retirement volumes are running about double last year's levels in these last few months. This is not as strong as we expected. Operations have maintained a processing cadence that is getting the retirements processed in or close to 30 days. Unfortunately for counseling staff, they're spending a significant amount of time with individuals that are exploring retirement as an alternative to getting vaccinated and returning to the office. This is likely to drop off in December as those placed on leave without pay will either choose to get the vaccine and return or be removed from their positions. We've actually had 4 of those cases. Employee virtual town hall is scheduled for December. Trustees will receive an invitation to this. Don't feel required to attend. We just want to give you a little view into what we're doing in terms of communications with staff. Finally, well, not finally, but Coriad's Trustee Educational Conference, a semi-annual event that we like to support, is scheduled for January 18th to 21st. If you have any interest in attending this educational conference, which we think has significant value, please reach out to Karen Wong or me, and we will get you registered and organized. So our December Board of Trustees meeting is scheduled for December 16th, and under the possibility that we may not get a quorum or may not have that meeting, because of holiday schedules, I want to make sure that all of you are aware that we thank you for your trustee involvement and support over the last year. It seems a little odd that we would be talking about that before the end of the year, but last year we didn't have a December meeting. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew we were very grateful for your support. And that's it from me, Russell. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Does anyone have any questions for Sandy? Okay, I think Sandy, on those retirement figures that you noted as being doubled, if you could just circulate that data to the board for their awareness, that would be fantastic.
We'll do that in the morning.
Thank you much. Next item on this afternoon's agenda is calendar items 2 through 17, the ordinary business of BERS. May I have a motion to consider calendar items 2 through 17? Thank you,
Move.
Michael. May I have a second?
Second, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Alex, can you please tell us about the ordinary business of BERS?
Of course, these are all the retirements, death benefits, and refunds that have been processed since the last meeting of this board.
Thank you, Alex. We will now vote on these items. All in favor of approving calendar items 2 through 17, please indicate your approval. Aye, Russ.
Aye, Gary.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye, Jacqueline.
I'm approved.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you. The next item belongs in attorney-client session. May I have a motion to go into attorney-client session?
Just before
Thank you.
that, can I note for the record that Deb Dillingham has joined us, please? Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sandy. Hello, Deb. May I have a motion to go into attorney-client
Gentlemen.
session? Thank you, Natalie. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Donald. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here for a second. Tuesday before Thanksgiving. All those in favor, please vote now. Aye, Russ.
Aye,
Approve, Michael.
Hi, Gary.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries. Karen, could you please remove all attendees besides the board, law department, and BERS executive management? We are now in public session. Alex, could you please report out on the board's actions in executive session?
Of course, in executive session, the board adopted revisions to the securities litigation protocol, and the board also approved the mechanism by which TDA members affected by unauthorized loan disbursements will be reimbursed in order to be made whole.
Thank you, Alex. The next item on the agenda is calendar item number 19, authorization for the adoption of an amended administrative budget for fiscal year 22 for the Board of Education Retirement System. May I have a motion to consider?
Tom.
Michael.
Thank you, Tom. Second, Michael. Given that we have discussed this in executive session, is there any other discussion for public session on calendar item number 19? Hearing none, we will now vote on this item. All those in favor of calendar item number 19, please indicate your approval. Aye, Russ.
Aye, Tom.
Aye, Michael.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is calendar item number 20, authorization to amend an agreement with McLean & Company to provide HR research and advisory services to the Board of Education Retirement System. May I have a motion to consider?
Motion, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. May I have a second?
Deb.
Thank you, Deb. So Lydia, would you please tell us about this resolution from McLean & Company?
I'll let Michelle do it.
Hi, this is Michelle. I'll present it.
Go ahead, Michelle.
The board is requested to authorize an amendment to the existing agreement with McLean & Company to provide HR research and advisory services to BERS. Under this amendment, McLean would provide a 10-week management fundamentals training program for supervisors, a leadership development coaching program for BERS directors, and an HR advisory leadership membership. The additional cost for these services is $84,580.25 over 2 years for a total contract amount not to exceed $144,580.25. The board is requested to approve a retroactive extension of the agreement with McLean beginning February 1st, 2021, as certain services authorized under the original agreement carried beyond the original contract termination date. There is no additional cost for those services.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions from the board on calendar item number 20? Hearing none, we'll now vote on this item. All in favor of calendar item number 20, please indicate your approval. Aye, Russ.
Aye, Michael.
Aye, Jacqueline.
Aye, Donald.
I suppose I can move on to any opposed. Alex, you think we have enough votes there?
I'm sorry, Russ. Did someone leave? Who left?
Did you guys hear my vote?
Hi, Russ. I only heard 2 people. This is Jacqueline.
Yeah, I guess that was my concern as well.
Right, aye, Tom.
Aye.
Aye, Michael.
I like it better when there's a chorus of ayes. We'll get the conducting going better shortly. I know it's been a long meeting already. Any opposed or any abstentions to this vote? Calendar item number 20. Hearing none, motion passes. The next item on the agenda is calendar item number 21, consent to assignment of an agreement with CAISA LLC to the Burgess Group LLC, and authorization to amend an agreement with the Burgess Group LLC to provide quantitative portfolio technology to the Board of Education Retirement System. May I have a motion to consider?
Aye, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. May I have a
Motion,
second?
Jacqueline.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Antonio, can you please tell us about this resolution?
Absolutely. As many on the board know, in 2019, the board authorized BERS to enter an agreement with CAISA LLC to provide us our investment book of record platform called the Quantitative Portfolio Technology. October 4th of this year, CAISA merged with the Burgess Group, and we are requesting that the board consent to the assignment of the agreement to CAISA to Burgess for extend the agreement for additional 3 months. So that we can finalize and award a new contract for the quantitative portfolio technology under the RFP we released earlier this year. The additional cost for the 3 months is up to $21,750 for a total contract amount from the beginning of not to exceed $307,750. I will take any questions.
Thank you, Antonio. Any questions from the board on calendar item number 21? Hearing none, we will now vote on this item. All those in favor of calendar item number 21, please indicate your approval. Aye, Russ.
Aye, Michael.
Aye, Tom.
Aye.
Aye, Jacqueline.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Next item on the agenda is calendar item number 22, authorization to enter into an agreement with the Burgess Group LLC to provide quantitative portfolio technology to the Board of Education Retirement System. May I have a motion to consider?
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. May I have a second?
Jacqueline.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Antonio, please tell us about this resolution.
Absolutely. And so this is the second part of the first resolution, which is the RFP that we released in the summer to enter in a new agreement for our quantitative portfolio technology. We had 4 bidders, and we once again, the investment strategy team, along with the executive team and procurement, essentially basically chose or scored CAISA, now Burgess, the highest of the 4 respondents. We had a number of interviews and demonstrations. So again, we want to continue our relationship with now the Burgess Group. This is a 3-year agreement, not to exceed $305,790 to provide the investment strategy department in BERS technology for data loading, analytics, and visualization for portfolio management. I'm happy to take any questions, but after the demonstrations and given the totality of their presentations, and responses, we thought remaining with Cayuse at the Burgess Group makes the most sense for us at this time. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Antonio. Any questions from the board on calendar item number 22? Hearing none, we will now vote on this item. All those in favor of calendar item number 22, please indicate your approval now. Aye, Russ.
Aye.
Aye, Michael.
Aye, Jacqueline.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. The next item on our agenda is calendar item number 23. Authorization to the comptroller to invest, sell, and exchange the funds of the retirement system. May I have a motion to consider.
Motion, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie. May I have a second?
Jacqueline.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Antonio, would you please tell us about this resolution?
Yes, this is the standard quarterly resolution to give authorization to the comptroller to sell, transfer assets on behalf of the board, given the investment decisions that are made by the board. It's a typical quarterly authorization that ends December 31st, 2021. This extends that authorization to March 31st, 2022.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Are there any questions from the board on calendar item number 23? Hearing none, we will now vote on this item. All in favor of calendar item number 23, please indicate your approval now. Aye, Russ.
Aye.
Aye, Michael.
Aye, Jacqueline.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is calendar item number 24, amendment to the investment policy statement of the Board of Education Retirement System. May I have a motion to consider?
Motion, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Jacqueline. May I have a second?
Second, Donald.
Thank you, Donald. Antonio, can you please tell us about this resolution?
Yes, given the time crunch, I was going to share my screen, but I'll share if necessary. Everybody received the materials. Over the past several months, the investment strategy department and the Siegel Marco Advisors, our general consultant, and the executive committee reviewed the investment policy statement, and this is best practice both to add different strategy changes to do proper maintenance. It was last amended and approved through a wholesale kind of revamp in April of 2020. In the materials that were sent to you in the board packet, we had a number of changes that we've added, and I'll go through them and then have Siegel Marco discuss one in detail that we think is particularly important. So we added a funded ratio strategy to the asset allocation section, which really I think is important given the funded status improvements over the past several years. In addition, we added the targets and rebalancing ranges from that were approved in April 2020. We deleted bank loans. We added a private credit benchmark and rebalancing ranges for duration for fixed income. Importantly, we codified multiple routes for manager recommendation to the board. So the proposed change really allowed for the investment managers or fund proposals to appear before the Board of Trustees upon the recommendation of two of BERS investment advisors. So the Bureau of Asset Management, the Investment Strategy Department, Siegel Marco Advisors, and or Axiotory Co-Partners. If any two of those entities bring a recommendation to the board, it can be considered. We added and streamlined the asset class guidelines and simplified them. We changed many of the appendices to look more like policy documents rather than process documents. That includes the economically targeted investments, ethics and compliance, proxy voting, responsible contractor policy, and securities litigation policy. We added new policies that were approved through resolution. So now the Net Zero Climate Action Plan is an appendix to and the asset allocation process. And then we also made cosmetic changes, including changing titles, moving the watch list to the appendix, and changing the prohibited areas to prohibited public market investments in securities, and we added definitions. One thing that is not in this proposed final change, and that you may have seen in a previous draft of the IPS, is a change to the executive committee's responsibilities and proposals. But as you know, as you all remember, in this summer, when we went back to in-person meetings, we did not, we weren't able to get a quorum, and so we actually lost out on $2 to $3 million of fee savings to the fund by not reaching quorums in two kind of flagship manager products. It was our intention then to balance the month-to-month decisions that the board needs to make through the executive committee that does review all of the investments that come to the board, to the full board. And so adding some delegation to that body, changing the makeup of that body to make it easier to make quorum, to have the chancellor, the two labor representatives, and two members of the panel education policy, among other things. We have not received a feedback from the law department yet on that matter, so it was eliminated from this proposal to you all today. But I will reiterate that it's an incredibly important proposal, I think, especially as we get back to in-person meetings come after the end of the year. Again, it's cost the system money. At this point, we've missed out on opportunities, and we think that it strikes the right balance where the month-to-month kind of dealings of the investment fund can get done, while the bigger strategic decisions still come to the full 18-member board of trustees. So I went through a lot. Obviously, you got the materials, you guys got the IPS. I wanted to take a moment for Steve Marco to describe the funded ratio policy in detail because it's incredibly important for how we think about and propose asset allocation in the future. So Michael and Vanessa, I don't know if you guys are you might have got to keep that. I don't know if you guys are back in yet. But if you can, please kind of talk about the that proposal in some detail.
This one or this one, Monty? There's a different one. Look at this one. This one is 99. This one's
I don't know.
30. Okay. This is 70.
Yeah, that's Vanessa.
Yeah, that's somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, that is not Vanessa Vargas. That is Naomi Engelman, who is not on mute.
Vanessa, if you're speaking, you're still on mute. We can't hear you.
Miker. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know if they're. I see them in here. I don't know if they're. I know they might have been running back and forth after the attorney-client session. While waiting for them, I want to thank the entire kind of executive committee, in particular, for coming over this. And special to Russell and Natalie, who really gave really important, I think, crucial feedback for us as we did this review.
When does Hanukkah start?
So, Mike, if you can.
Okay, and
I would ask, is it possible to mute all participants and then come back and continue this conversation? Is that a feature that we have available to us?
Yeah, let me play around with it. Let me see what I can do.
Antonio, are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, Vanessa. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I've been trying to unmute and was not successful. So just wanted to briefly discuss the changes that we made to the IPS, primarily regarding asset allocation and the asset liability study review. We added some language in the IPS about funded status and funded status changes. And when it makes sense to reallocate within your asset allocation based on your funded status. Right now, the language is broad enough, but it discusses the use of Sharpe ratio and plan funded status to basically give you parameters of when the board may need to change the overall asset allocation based on that data. And I'm happy to answer specific questions about the language. We tried to make it as broad as possible because the reality is that until you see what the funded status is, and you run the asset allocation and take a look at the liability in tandem with the asset allocation, we wouldn't know exactly by how much it would change.
So, any questions from the board? Any comments from the executive committee before we get to a vote?
Yeah, I have some questions. I have a few. Why don't we have to wait to pass the executive committee resolution? Second, why does the law department have to weigh in? And third, why is it taking so long to get an answer?
That listen, Donald, I can answer that. I do. I would say that at least on the first part, that the board has delegated some of its powers in the past, right? So certainly the emerging manager program in private equity is a delegated authority from the board to the Bureau of Asset Management, where they don't have to come back to you for decisions, or a body that is not the board makes the decision without coming back to the board. The co-investment program is the same. So there are programs of that in the past, but generally speaking, I can't answer that question. But from my perspective, there have been instances of this happening before, where the board has delegated its right to formally adopt an investment decision. And right, it's happening right now. I think we've made several EM program investments without that you guys don't know about and won't know about until December or later.
Okay.
Antonio, can you remind us of what the caps were for the executive decision making? That also
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how it would work is, for private market investments, it'd be up to $50 million. So that'd mean any private fund that a commitment up to $50 million would be the executive committee would have authority to make that decision. After that, anything above that would go to the board. In active managers in public markets, up to $250 million. And after that, it would have to go to the full board for authorization. And that's not idle. We have a lot of our active managers are above $250 million. So that, and because the length of those processes, we felt much more comfortable with having, if we don't make quorum at a particular board meeting, we can wait to the next one. They're open-ended. But for the closed-end funds, where we have really tight deadlines, it is again, you guys have seen it in practice, where we haven't been able to execute on some of those, and it's cost the system millions of dollars. So wanting to strike that balance, and then all index funds. So anything that's a kind of an index fund would be able to have the authority. Importantly, issues of portfolio construction, asset allocation, asset liability studies, the selection of the consultants would all remain with the full board of trustees, with reviews from the executive committee as we do now. And then finally, the other thing we added was that the executive committee could act as the proxy committee. Right now, BERS is the only system where the proxy committee is the full board. Any proxy votes or kind of votes on shareholder engagement have to come back to the full board for approval. Every other system in the city right now uses a subset of that board to not only discuss the items, but actually make the decision, and they can vote on it without coming back to the full board for approval.
I guess I share Donald's sense of wanting this to move a little bit faster. I think that it's been incredibly well thought out. We have spent a lot of time talking about this in the executive committee, and it would be my hope that we could see this move forward before the end of the year, but I don't know how we can help make that happen.
I hear you, but we have definitely hear you. Well, we have what we have today, and luckily everything's electronic, and so if we want to make further changes, we can soon after that. But and look, we still have more work to do. There's always more work to do. One thing that we're going to go back immediately and look at is private credit parking places. So if we can do that real quick with the folks at Actia and Siegel, maybe we might bring back another package to you guys soon. But importantly, I think there's some things that we wanted to make sure, again, depending, as much as we like to have the delegation, I think to the executive committee, there are some things that have to get done. And having them done in November, I think would make sense for our again, when it comes to asset allocation, when it comes to strategy, when it comes to benchmarking.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that from a governance perspective, the work you've done is really moving BERS in a great direction. So I do not begrudge moving forward with one part without the other, but duly noted that we would all like to see it, the entire package come together.
Okay. All right. So any other questions or thoughts before it goes to kick it back to Russ?
Yeah, I mean, I would just applaud the folks from the executive committee and the full board who have taken the time to review this document over the last couple of months, and the investment strategy team for taking a lot of the different changes to heart. I think was reflected in this final document that we'll approve today is a strong revision of the IPS, and I hope to continue to make it stronger with the assent of the law department in the coming month. Hearing any other further questions from the board on calendar item 24 before we move to vote? Hearing none, I will now move us towards a vote on this item. All those in favor of calendar item number 24, please indicate your approval now. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Michael.
Jacqueline, aye.
Aye, Tom.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Antonio. If you could please circulate to the board at your earliest convenience the updated version of the investment policy statement, that would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. The next item on our agenda is calendar item number 25, authorization of the comptroller to proceed with the private equity annual implementation plan. May I have a motion to consider?
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. May I have a second?
Second, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Antonio, please tell us quickly about this resolution.
Absolutely. This is the every year we put together private market annual plans to really kind of commit the fund to pacing to hit our strategic asset allocation targets. We are asking for a table for this item so that the executive committee has a chance to review and that we have a more fulsome chance to discuss with our consultants and to give a full package for our entire private market pacing. So we're asking for a table until December.
Thank you, Antonio. Any questions on that? It's a recommendation to table. When is the next scheduled? When is the next executive committee scheduled for?
It's currently scheduled for December 14th. Obviously, given the holiday schedule, if folks want to change it, but right now it's on the calendar for December 14th.
Got it on the calendar. We'll chat more about it then. Tom, was that a motion to table?
Yes, it was.
May I have a second?
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. All those in favor of tabling calendar item number 25, please indicate your approval now. Aye. Russ.
Aye.
Aye, Michael.
Aye,
Aye,
Jacqueline.
Tom.
Aye, Janu.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Next item on the agenda is calendar item number 26, authorization of the comptroller of the city of New York to proceed with the real estate annual implementation plan. May I have a motion to consider?
So
Yeah.
moved, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Second, Natalie. Antonio, please tell us quickly. More of the same.
Yes, we're asking for a table for the same reasons we gave for the private equity annual plan.
Any questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion to table this item?
I move to table, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. May I have a second?
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. All those in favor of tabling calendar item number 26, please indicate your approval. Aye. Russ.
Aye,
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 Michael.
Jacqueline.
Aye, Tom.
So move, Donald.
Hi, Gary.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is calendar item number 27, authorization of the comptroller of the city of New York to proceed with the infrastructure annual implementation plan. May I have a motion to consider?
Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie. May I have a second?
Second.
Jacqueline.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Antonio?
To ask for an additional table for this item until December.
Thank you, Antonio. May I have a motion to table this item?
Deb, table.
Thank you, Deb. May I have a second?
Second, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. All those in favor of tabling calendar item number 27, please indicate your approval now. Aye. Russ.
Aye.
Aye, Michael.
Aye, Nick.
Hi, Gary.
Aye, Tom.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next agenda items are investment-related items that belong in executive session. May I have a motion to enter executive session?
So moved, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie. May I have a second? Thank you, Nicholas. All those in favor of entering executive session, please indicate your approval. Aye. Russ.
Aye.
Aye, Tom.
Hi, Gary.
Any opposed?
Hi, Jacqueline.
Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. We are now in executive session. Karen, could you please turn the recording? Yep, thank you. Alex, would you please
Recording's
report out
back
the
on.
board's actions during executive session?
During executive session, the board voted to approve calendar item 28, acceptance of the controller's recommendation set forth in the excluded companies list, and calendar items 29 and 30, which are both authorizations to the controller to commit a portion of the opportunistic fixed income portfolio of BERS.
Thank you, Alex. That concludes the agenda for this meeting. Next scheduled meeting of the BERS Board of Trustees is scheduled for Thursday, December 16th. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Hi, Gary.
Thank you,
Motion.
Gary. May I have a second from Tom? Excellent. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, please indicate your approval. Aye. Russ.
Aye,
Approval,
Michael.
Jacqueline.
Aye,
Here,
Tom.
here. Hearing none opposed and no abstentions, I can't imagine at this point, at the late hour of 6:05 p.m., we would have any abstentions. Thank you. We
Have a
are
wonderful
adjourned.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you for your
All
time,
right.
everyone.
Stay safe, everyone.
Happy
Happy
holidays,
Thanksgiving,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanksgiving, guys.
Bye-bye.
Your engagement.
Good night, everyone. Happy
Right.
Thanksgiving. Bye.